Martini Museum, which is just outside of Torino or Turin, it's the northwest part of Italy, is home to a fabulous range of artifacts which relate to the history of wine. Now we're going to have a look about with our guide Christiana, so come on.
They were used for storage and transportation of wine after its fermentation in the big dolium. The Romans pressed the grapes about in the month of October. The grape juices remained for several months in these specific vats, and in the month of April, the already new wines, the newborn wines, in the month of April were transferred into the smaller amphora that you can see here around. Their specific form was due to the fact that these amphora were also partially used for transportation of wine in ships. Here we have a wine amphora for the transportation of wine to the tables. And then we have a third type, which was a mixing vase, a mixing amphora. Its name is crater. Italian word is crater. Crater, like the volcano crater, because they had a wide opening. All Greeks and Romans never drank wine pure, but they used to add at least some little bit of water to dilute the wines before drinking them. This is because of a technical reason. The way of making wines at Romans and Greek times were not so accurate as it is nowadays. So sometimes the wines were a bit too thick or too bitter or too alcoholic and not so well filtered. So water was helping them to make wines, let's say, drinkable and more pleasant. The aromatized wines, in order to get rid of the physical parts of the botanicals, you can see there are here on show some little strainers. These, for example, come from the Etruscans, which was a population living in central Italy about 7 centuries before Christ. The first one is in bronze, the second one is in a special terracotta called bucchero. The name of this terracotta is bucchero. It's a special dark clay, only produced and made by the Etruscans. As you can see, there are also some drinking cups with little holes. People could drink the aromatized wine, and the botanicals were retained.
It's like an old tea strainer.
Yeah, exactly. The wine, or the aromatized wine, were taken out from the craters with these different kinds of serving vessels. This is Hercules receiving some wine from the goddess Minerva. He's drinking sitting on his throne and with a lion
hairdresser, as you call it.
Yeah. It is called kiwis, and it was not only a cup for drinking, but above all, it was a cup only used as a trophy given to sport champions in sign of victory, filled up with wine. And as you can see from the form it has remained in the tradition, because the modern trophies still nowadays are using this form. Etymologically, apparently, the name kiwis remained in the history of mankind, especially for some European languages. You can still find trace of it in the name of a specific glass that we use. That is the chalice.
Oh, the chalice, right.
In German it is Kelch.
Yeah.
In Spanish it is calice, in Italian is calice, and as you see, the root of this word comes back to those old times. So the Romans apparently were the first old populations who used this technique of glass blowing. But the glass as a material was known as already by the Egyptians 1,500 years before Christ. Then the Romans were skillfully producing some beautiful objects, as you can see, but the glass was very thin. And this was the main problem that glass had. What does it mean? It means that we must wait until the 17th century after Christ, until an English scientist, Sir Canon Digby, until he discovered modern techniques of producing glass with thickness that allowed people to produce and to use glass bottles for containing drinks, water, liqueurs, wine, etc. So the use of glass bottles in a wide range for transportation of drinks started only from the 17th century after Christ onwards, although glass as a material was already known about 2,000 years before Christ. This is amazing.
Yes, huh? That product took a long time to be perfected, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the history of wine through the ages gives us some vivid imagery of those things which have changed and those things which haven't. The Piemonte region of Italy is where the sweeter vermouths traditionally come from, whereas Marseille in the south of France is where the dry vermouths traditionally come from. Now, techniques of production differ between the producers, but our mates at Martini Rossi can give us a good idea of how it all works. Vermouth is a wine made with grapes which is fortified to between 15 and 18% alcohol content. What makes vermouth unique are the botanicals that are added prior to fortification. This makes it what's known as an aromatized wine, actually a very ancient type of wine. It has a characteristic bitter flavour which is due to the wormwood or artemisia and bitter orange peel that are added, although there can be up to 30 different herbs, flowers and spices added that give complexity to the aroma and the flavour. Now, in addition to the bitter herbs, vermouth may be sweetened, usually with sugar. This achieves a fine balance between the bitterness and the sweetened wine. A little caramel may also be introduced for colour. Now, unlike other wines, vermouth is not aged in barrels where the characteristics of the barrel may affect the flavour profile. Instead, it is only rested for 6 weeks where the botanicals can marry and the desired smoothness can be achieved. From here, it's on to at least one filtration process, often more, and then off to the bottling plant. In this module, we've taken you on a journey back through time to look at the role wine has played in the earliest civilizations. We've looked at vermouth as it was many years ago, and also how it is today in a society where fashion and imagery are an integral part of the drinks that we serve.